Thanks for taking out the time to join us this evening and learn more about the work that we do. I will go ahead and get started with some country updates and what's going on the ground, just so we all have a context of the environment that Sahar currently works in. I'll go ahead and share my screen. The updates that I usually have from Afghanistan are pretty depressing, and unfortunately, I can't find good news more often when I do these regular updates to our board and also to our supporters. But they are essential and very important at the same time. So I present them, although they're not very happy news. So as of today, it has been 800 days since girls are banned in Afghanistan from secondary education. So any education beyond 6th grade is forbidden for girls in Afghanistan. This includes language learning centers, any other learning centers that used to teach school subjects or computers and English classes in Afghanistan. Since it has also been 380 days since the Taliban banned girls from, or women from going to universities and from working with NGOs. So it has been very challenging for a lot of women in Afghanistan to sustain their lives because some of these households are women-led, and the income that women received from their employment with NGOs sustained the families. Unfortunately, the Taliban have issued over 80 edicts, and 54 of them are targeting women. In March of this year, this was the edicts targeting women were a little over 30, but so in the past few months, they have issued another 20 edicts banning women from different places, from different educational environments, from different jobs. And I'll share another slide later that shows the restrictions on women's movements. That's all of these edicts and the decrees that the Taliban have been publishing since they took over is basically erasing women from the society, one after another. And it has been really challenging for us to continue the work on the ground, given the fact that women are no longer allowed to work with NGOs and the organizations that we partner with, but our partners and our on-the-ground teams have been very brave, and we do have many women on our teams on the ground. Afghan women, however, are not sitting back and giving up. They are working on forming new civil society organizations and groups where they continue their advocacy. They have been protesting on different platforms, even going out on the roads to protest for their rights, mainly for the reopening of girls' schools. They are running businesses, creating opportunities for other women as well to work with these business women. They're also providing health education and protection services for other women who are working in the field and who are trying to advocate for women's rights in Afghanistan at the moment. So this diagram, I found this in a report on UN Women's website. They did a really great report on freedom of movement for Afghan women since the Taliban took over. So the first triangle, that is before August of 2021, women were allowed to travel abroad. There were so many women who traveled abroad for education. I am one of those women. I came to the US in 2018 to pursue my master's degree through Fulbright program. Unfortunately, no women are allowed to travel abroad without a male family member or a mahram. And they're not even allowed to travel in between provinces, let alone abroad. Bazaar, this is what bazaars used to look like. There were so many people, so many shopkeepers outside. Unfortunately, that has decreased in number as well, given the humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan. There were women participating, going out, doing grocery shoppings. Unfortunately, there are very few to no women, depending on what part of the country you are in, that go to bazaar and that do their shopping on their own. The next one is work. So women were actually very active in work environment in Afghanistan. We used to have female politicians. Actually, 27% of the parliament were consisted of women representatives before the Taliban takeover. Unfortunately, women are no longer allowed to work in any governmental organizations, any nonprofit or non-governmental organizations. They're also not allowed to travel for their businesses around. So that means that although the Taliban have said that they don't have problem with women running businesses, but imagine if they can't travel, if they can't make those connections on the ground, it's close to impossible for them to run these businesses as well. And then we have education beyond sixth grade. There was a wave of students returning to school after the Taliban's fall in the first era. And there were so many women who started going to school, so many girls who were eagerly attending different schools in the country. Unfortunately, they are now out of school as well, and the only education that's available to them is up to sixth grade. And teachers who used to teach in girls' schools, of course, they were all women. They still continue to go, most of them still continue going to school because UNICEF has taken the responsibility to pay them. However, because girls are no longer going to school beyond seventh grade, they have asked these teachers to start teaching subjects that are not their area of expertise to students who are under sixth grade. And that has been a challenge for most of the teachers as well. Hospitals, there were so many women in the healthcare sector. That's one of the sectors that the Taliban haven't yet banned for women, and I don't think they will, because even in the first era of the Taliban, there were female doctors, there were female nurses, but they had to get to the hospital from their home with a male, with a male chaperone or a mahram, and that is still going on. However, female doctors and nurses are no longer allowed to see male patients. So that has decreased the opportunities for female doctors to be active. And home environment, that's one area that hasn't changed for women. They are still present at home and in the home environment. The fear, however, for the future is that the few opportunities that are still left for Afghan women, is that going to last, or are they going to be taken away as well? In the first era of the Taliban, that was all taken away, unfortunately. And for right now, we are hoping that things would change for the better for Afghan women. They are advocating for themselves. They have formed international communities that are working hard to advocate for them as well. However, they haven't all the advocacy and the pressure hasn't changed much on the ground, but the resistance and resilience of Afghan women is admirable. They continue to protest and raise awareness on different issues in Afghanistan. A study by the Gallup Institute reported that 11% of women in Afghanistan are satisfied with the freedom that they currently have. And again, this study was done in different provinces all over the country, and the report only indicates 11%, and 17% of women say that they are treated with respect in Afghanistan. That's a very low number, to only 17% of women being treated with respect. And again, in traditional societies like Afghanistan, respect is defined differently and way differently than it is for most people. For example, when it comes to domestic violence situations, verbal abuse is so much normalized, and that's also true in other parts of the world, especially when it comes to domestic violence, that it's not even considered disrespect anymore. So given that context, 17% of women have reported that they are treated with respect. And according to the Women, Peace and Security Index, Afghanistan ranks the worst among 177 countries in the world when it comes to the status of women. And the Women, Peace and Security Index considers 13 indicators to make this conclusion. This includes security, job opportunities for women, education, and freedom of movement. The socioeconomic conditions in Afghanistan, unfortunately, continue to worsen. Afghanistan is currently facing a humanitarian crisis, and in October, of this year, so just last month, a series of earthquakes hit Herat, one of the provinces in Afghanistan, and these earthquakes were marked 6.3 magnitude. One of them actually was 6.5, and it caused a lot of destruction and added to the worsening humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan. Right after the earthquakes, there was a dust storm that took over the city, and people were already afraid and they were sleeping on the roads. They were afraid to go back to their homes because there were reports that more earthquakes may happen. And with the dust storm, it just got worse. And the tents that the victims and survivors of the earthquake had received were blown away too. So they had to figure out another way for them to stay safe. And again, Afghanistan has a pretty cruel winter that is just around the corner, and it starts in a few weeks. Taliban, of course, struggle to provide aid and assistance for survivors of the earthquake in Herat, and in general to attend to the humanitarian crisis that's unfolding. And they have also created a very difficult working environment for most humanitarian aid organizations. Humanitarian aid organizations have reported being harassed by the Taliban, not having access to get to the locations that they want to get to provide these humanitarian aid. And the fact that women are no longer allowed to work with these humanitarian aid organizations have also halted the distribution of aid that goes to the survivors and people affected by the crisis. The US has provided $2 billion of aid since the Taliban takeover to Afghanistan, including a $969 million to World Food Program. The security conditions, although the Taliban claim that they have everything under control and the security conditions have improved, that is partially true only because one of the main threats to security of Afghanistan were the Taliban themselves, and many attacks and bombings that happened before the Taliban takeover, the Taliban claimed responsibility for most of them. So, however, it doesn't mean that there's no bombings going on anymore or the security is fully under control. Unfortunately, on October 13th, a mosque was hit by bombing in Baghlan province, where people had gathered to perform the Friday prayer. That's when Muslims get together to do the prayers together. And it ended up killing 15 people. Another explosion happened on October 26th in a sports club in Dashtabarchi area of Kabul that ended up killing 4 and wounding 7 civilians. All of the victims of these attacks are civilians. On November 7th, there was a bus bombing in Kabul that killed 7 and wounded 20 other civilians. The common trend among the attacks that are recently happening in Afghanistan is that they're all happening in Shia and Hazara populated communities. Hazaras are considered a minority ethnic group in Afghanistan, and they have been targeted not only by the Taliban, but also by ISS, and ISIS has claimed responsibility for these attacks. Unfortunately, Hazaras and other ethnic and religious minorities in Afghanistan have always been treated poorly, and with the Taliban takeover, they are targeted based on their ethnic group and religious beliefs. With refugee status, unfortunately, there are so many Afghan families who have lived in Pakistan for decades now, and some families have left Afghanistan after the Taliban takeover to seek refuge in Pakistan and make sure that their daughters and their women have the chance at an education and also a life free of discrimination. Unfortunately, the Pakistani government has now decided, not only decided, but they have already started deporting 1.7 million Afghan refugees from Pakistan. Some of these refugees who are being deported already have documents and are allowed to live in Pakistan, but they're being ripped off of all of their belongings. If they own a property in Pakistan, it's being taken away from them. And they're only allowed to cross the border with a few items, and if they are carrying any of their belongings with them or any of their valuable items, it's being taken away from them at the border. There are also reports of the Pakistani police beating children and men who are trying to take more belongings than they're allowed to while crossing the border. There is a lack of resources for refugees being deported from Pakistan. Unfortunately, like I said, Afghanistan is also is already in the midst of a humanitarian crisis, and with the harsh winter around the corner, there aren't much resources available for these refugees who are being returned. And Pakistan also blocked 5,500 containers of goods that were supposed to pass through the Karachi port and get to Afghanistan, which costed Afghan businessmen or Afghan traders around $2 million daily. And these containers were held for 50 days at the port. The U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom has also reported the persecution of religious minorities by the Taliban. So not only ISIS is targeting these minority groups, but the Taliban continue to treat them poorly and discriminate against them as well. All right. However, among all the sad news coming in from Afghanistan, this month, actually, there was a ray of hope among Afghan people that they got to celebrate widely. Even the Afghan diaspora got to celebrate this. Our Afghan cricket national team played at the World Cup, the ICC Men World Cup this year, and they had some amazing wins, and that gave the whole nation hope and a reason to celebrate and come together. And it marked a very special moment for us Afghans, where it brought so much unity among us that everybody was celebrating. And these games, they defeated England, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. The win against Pakistan did take more of a political celebration because Pakistan has always considered Afghan players as their students and as if they have created and formed this team for Afghanistan. But so a lot of people were happy, and they most of them actually said that this win was the World Cup for them already, even if they don't end up winning any other games. And with their wins, they qualified for the Champion Trophy of 2025 that is supposed to take place in Pakistan. And the national cricket players also used this platform to raise awareness about important topics in Afghanistan, including girls' education. Rashid Khan actually advocated for girls' education and requested that the Taliban lift the bans on girls' education as soon as possible. Another player who won the trophy of man of the match, or the best player of the match, in our match against Pakistan, dedicated his trophy to the Afghan refugees who are being forcefully deported from Pakistan. And that was a way for him to raise awareness about what the Pakistani government was doing to the Afghan refugees. And Rashid Khan also raised awareness about the Herat earthquakes and committed that he will donate all of his earnings from this tournament to the survivors of Herat earthquake, and urged everybody else to donate as well. So that was a moment for all of us to celebrate while we got all of the sad news from Afghanistan, and we continue to get those. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to take those.
I have some questions, actually.
Please, go ahead.
So my name is Sahar. I'm actually an elementary school principal. I have a doctoral degree in educational leadership from the University of Southern California in Los Angeles. This particular cause has been very, very important to me. I'm Iranian, and I know that the conditions in Iran are getting worse every single day. And so I think that I can sympathize with a lot of the sentiments of always hearing bad news. I think the thing that really drew me in was that, I was looking to be part of this particular cause. I just didn't know where to go. And so I had come across you guys. And then obviously there was the documentary about the Noble Guardian where I saw a little girl, her name was Sahar. And so that really struck a chord with me just because she was my namesake. And, you know, it being an elementary school principal and seeing little girls who are so eager to go to school. I don't think that there was any cause that was more important to me than becoming involved in this. So the reason why I'm here is because I'd like to know what you guys need and how I can contribute to helping you guys grow your organization.
Thank you, Sahar John. We do need support with, of course, funds to continue these programs, but also because you have your degree in educational leadership, I'm sure we can use your expertise to help us with the curriculums that we're currently teaching. Shugufa John will cover that shortly in her presentation. We can definitely chat offline about that and see how we can partner together and we could get your advice, especially because you're aware of the context and the situation in Iran, unfortunately, is not much different from Afghanistan. I really hope and pray for a safer world for women all over. And we can definitely work on that. And we will seek your professional advice on how we're doing our programs on the ground. Also, we do partner with a couple of elementary schools and we do our fundraisers there. So although they are smaller in capacity, but the fact that school students want to support girls in Afghanistan to get an education, we can definitely work on something like that and try to partner with your school as well, if that's a possibility for you all.
Absolutely. So I'd be happy to help in any way. So if you would like to chat offline at a separate time, then we can definitely set that up.
That would be great. Thank you so much, Sahar John.
Of course.
Nice. Great.
Any other questions that I could take about the country conditions before we move to Shugufa's updates about our current programs? All right. Well, Shugufa John, I think we are ready for you. And if you could please go ahead and share the current program updates that we have from the ground. These are always exciting and my favorite part of any meeting that I do.
Thank you.
Shugufa, you're on mute.
So, yes, I'm trying to share my screen so I can start the presentation. So hi everyone. With the hearing of all the news that Mitra has updated about Afghanistan, it's not easy personal for us to working with us and seeing every day our country, especially for women. As you see the numbers, like 800 students, like women are out of school. Like 800 days women hasn't been in a school, and this is only the number, and spending all those days without school is impacted not only the country but on individual's life. It's a huge impacted mentally for girls, like in terms of depression, in terms of how they taken like with the opportunity they don't have to go to school. But we try to give an opportunity and have create a space for women. So I'm going to give an update for our programs, like working on the ground with the grassroots organization. Because of security reason, I will eliminate naming the organization that we are working, where the generally naming them where they are, like in Mazar Sharif. And two of our programs are in Mazar Sharif, and one of our programs is in Kabul. So Silta Sisters in Mazar Sharif, which we work with them and then closely with the private school, and the underground Tech Shiroz is also in Mazar Sharif, and Traits of Hope is in Kabul, that is sewing classes and literacy program. So starting our Silta Sisters program is with this partner we worked since Taliban came back to Afghanistan. It was a very hard time for us to come back and support the girls' education in Afghanistan, not to let the Taliban win what they are doing. We continue our program, and we started supporting grassroots organization, reaching out on the ground that our partners, what we can do to support. And there, fortunately, there were people that want to continue the education, and they were doing some work, and we supported their work by providing them financially and providing the educational programs we have. So for the students we graduated from this program is 60 students, and we're recruiting now, like expanding our program students from 20 to 40 students. The program duration is 6 months. Which is the program we have, the computer program, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and also English, reading and writing and speaking. And also we have the women empowerment workshop and health workshop as well, which covers a lot about women's rights, conflict resolution, leadership, community engagement, domestic violence, and also a health workshop, which we talk about menstruation, hygiene, health, reproductive, and mental health. One of our programs that we hear a lot from the students. They really like it, and they want more programs around mental health area that they experience every day. There are some pictures. We blur the pictures, faces, because of security reason. This school has computer classes, and they're a very secure facility. We have a student, the schools provide transportation. They pick up students from home, and they pick up them from home and drop them off after their schools, after the program ends. So their system is very secure. When they come in the school, they have name tag, ID, and security to check who is coming in the school, who's living in the school. So there is just to make sure that Taliban not like being aware of, like they're taking especially English classes and women empowerment workshops. So there are some pictures that we blur the pictures. And I would like to play a video from this video, because last 2 years we have been working with this partners. I have seen significant change on the girls. Like, I cannot tell you how much they are appreciative and how much they are happy by having a space and coming in the program and having this opportunity to learn. So we documented one of our students, like how she feels about the program and how this program has changed her life.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحیم. همان طوری که خورشید طلوع می کند با هیجان و هدف آماده می شوم. امروز مثل هر روز دیگر برای برنامه ظرفیت‌سازی زنان آماده می شوم. برنامه‌ای که پناهگاه و راهنما دهنده من شده است. اینجا جایی است که ما پشتیبان آرامش و فرصت برای رشد جسمی و عاطفی پیدا می کنیم. هر روز با شوق منتظر ترانسپورت هستم که مرا به این بهشت دانش می آورد. وارد صنف می شویم و از اینکه در آنجا هستیم شکرگزارم. هر دانش آموز دارای یک کامپیوتر است و با یک کلیک مطالعات ما آغاز می شود. معلم فوق‌العاده ما ستاری دروس ما را آغازگر می شود. ما وارد دنیای کامپیوتر می شویم، انگلیسی را یاد می گیریم و مضمون علاقه من مطالعات ظرفیت‌سازی زنان وومن امپاورمنت را می آموزیم. این درس به ما آموزش می دهد که توانایی‌های خود را بپذیریم، با مشکلات جامعه مبارزه کنیم و برای برابری تلاش کنیم. ما ویدیوهای آموزشی را تماشا می کنیم و هفته‌وار سمینارهای داریم که ما را با دانش و انگیزه پر می کنند. بی صدا کتاب‌هایمان را باز می کنیم. ما آماده ایم تا هر کلمه و هر درس را جذب کنیم. سخنرانی‌های معلم ستاری آموزنده و زیباست. وقت سخنرانی به پایان می رسد، کلمات را تکرار می کنیم، مطمئن می شویم که در ذهنمان جا می گیرد. و تمرین‌های کتاب می پردازیم، زیرا می دانیم که دانش کلید آزادی ماست. اما در طول سخنرانی‌های مضمون ظرفیت‌سازی خانم‌ها آموزش و پرورش خیلی دلچسب می‌شود. ما در مورد موضوعات انتخاب شده بحث می‌کنیم، نظرات و دیدگاه‌هایمان را به اشتراک می‌گذاریم. در تیم‌های کوچک بیشتر به موضوعات درسی می‌پردازیم. از هر تیم یک رهبر بلند شده و معلومات‌های جمع‌آوری شده‌مان را ارائه می‌کند که نشان دهنده کار تیمی و وحدت ماست. وقتی درس‌ها به پایان می‌رسند، تاثیر آنها بر دل‌های ما همیشگی است. برنامه ظرفیت‌سازی خانم‌ها بیشتر از یک مکان برای یادگیری ما است. از تمام افراد پشت برنامه وومن امپاورمنت ورکشاپ از صمیم قلب تشکر می‌کنم. با تلاش بی‌وقفه هدیه‌ای به ما داده اید که کلید برای آموزش و پرورش ماست. در این برنامه صدایم را، قوتم را و هدفم را پیدا کردم. دیگر با محدودیت‌هایی که در وجودم بود درگیر نیستم. برنامه ظرفیت‌سازی خانم‌ها برایم بالای پرواز را داده است و من برای همیشه سپاسگزار خواهم بود. با تشکر صمیمانم.
I have to tell you, like, this students are amazing. I have the personally talked with them. I have the interview each one of them. This program is not only a program for us, like I mentioned earlier, this is very personal how we created leaders on the ground, and the programs we have, this women empowerment and health workshop, especially to teaching them how to solve their own problems, how to motivate them in a situation right now they are. When I talk to them and interviewed them, ask them question, where were they before the Taliban came and what they would like to do in the future, and how this situation has impacted for them. Some of the questions were for me personally very emotionally and sad, because I have lived their life that they're living in the first era of Taliban. I know how they feel. I know how it feels to not able to go to school. I know how it feels to be stuck in a home and you have so much hopes and dreams to reach, but you cannot. It's very heartbreaking, but at the same time, and when I hear them, they have so much potential to do things in the future. Despite of all challenges, they come in this program and they have like hopes to be a doctor, hopes to be an engineer, lawyer, even astronaut. One of the girls said she would like she would like to be an astronaut and show the world that Afghan women can go higher. So each this individual that I work with them, it's amazing talent they have, and that's why we are there to support them. And they are like one of our great thing about our program on the ground is our work is more organic, because we're working directly with the people and our partners on the ground. We're training them how to deliver the program, how to lead the team. So this is very personal to us as we were working. So this is our another program, Underground Tech Heroes, as we are working since working in Afghanistan last 20 years made us creative to navigate how to work in countries like Afghanistan and war zone situations. So we started doing secretly teaching girls technology, that's we call it Underground Tech Heroes. And in our first round, we had graduated 120 students, girls, from this program. And recently we are resuming back our programs, like 90 students have listed in the second round. The program is like Microsoft and coding. And we also teach them women empowerment and health workshop. So this first round was is so like 120 students, not only a number. Trust me, all each individuals, when they came to learn the computer and coding, some of them, they start their own work, like they are taking classes online. Some of them, when they graduate from this program, they teaching other girls at home. And some they have the skills of business. They start their home business, like they have handcrafting, they're selling from Afghanistan all the way to Australia. It was amazing to when I did interview each one of them, how they're going to use the skills of technology, computer, coding, web designing, and they send us their project that they worked at the end of the project's programs. It's amazing to see how talented they are and how they are motivated to work in the future. It's definitely challenging, definitely risk, despite all, but they are so determined and hunger for education to come all these programs. And when we start the second round, as I do weekly meeting with our partners, they say like there's so much demand, like the students' families are coming back and asking that when the program was about to start, like how many were or we only can get like 90 students, but they are like requesting and waiting list another 50 students on a waiting list. So this is the opportunity we give them. They are so appreciative and so ready to take and use that opportunity. There are some pictures that underground tech heroes that it's at home. Again, because of the security reason, we blur their pictures, faces. So before the Taliban, we had programs that started Men as a Partner in Change. Sahar has been working, supporting last 20 years only the girls' education. And then on 2029, we start the program Men as a Partner in Change. The reason is that because as we see in countries like Afghanistan and patriarchal society, it's very important to consider to educate both genders. And if we only focus on women's rights and not educating men, it always create challenges in terms of gender equality. And another thing is in terms of if we think about violence and trauma, in some way there are studies has been done that seeing that men, the reason domestic violence is so high in countries like Afghanistan is like men has been exposed to trauma, exposed to violence from growing up, and how much they never been giving the opportunity and a space to express their feelings, and how we can redefine masculinity, redefine honor in Afghanistan. And these programs, we come up the program Man as a Partner Change, and this is Sahar was the first organization implement this in Afghanistan, was the first program. And the first two rounds we had a successful result, and we started working with our students' father, coming to the program and educating them how this program, what is the program, and how what we are teaching on this program. So we started designing this curriculum. The topics we cover: fatherhood, caregiving, women's rights, conflict resolution, gender stereotype, and mental and physical health. And women rights, we talk about like women rights doesn't mean Western women rights. It's like about how when we talk about the human rights, we have to talk about men's right, like, you know, as a human, what is their right, and how they can work together, like in terms of, we also make sure that these topics be same as like the Afghan's culture, not like going outside of the culture norm. And we gave examples even from including that Islamic point of view or religious point of view, how it is important to respect women, and how education is allowed, like, you know, in Quran or like in Islamic. So going around that, educating men about it is very important. And conflict resolution is one thing, that reducing domestic violence, about like how to resolve the conflict without the violence, without the fighting, without the beating, without the, any conflict. So, and gender stereotype, we cover about the bacha posh, which is like how some families talk about, they dress up their daughter as a boy because they value having a boy is more important than as a daughter. So we talk with both gender, with the women and with the men, that valuing women, if you educate your daughter, she can be an asset in your family. She can work and she can bring changes economically in your family. And physical and mental health is also very important part. Like physical health, we talk about family planning, which one of the more cause of the problem in Afghanistan is poverty is so high because of the like so many. I mean, one family has like 6 children or 7 children, but only one person is providing. And how we have to teach family planning, both gender, men and women, not only women. So men has to be aware of about family planning. And leadership and community engagement is mostly focusing on taking responsibility in their community and how they can solve their problems in their country, and how be creative. Like, for example, right now we're teaching this young men about think critically. Problems like, what do you think, like your sisters, you cannot go to school, is it the right thing? How would you like to solve this problem? So we're bringing men in a situation that they have to take accountability and take the responsibility in their communities to solve the problem, because and they can change, they can solve their own problems. No one can solve them. So that is the main focus of our programs, to create leaders on the ground. And this program we just resumed, and 1-year program, and each for 6 months to 4 months we have 40 students. We recruit 40 students and we graduated, and then we recruit another 40 students throughout the year. We have some pictures from this program, and we have amazing trainers that he worked with us previously. He had a great experience with that. One of the amazing story that he, when he started working with us, when I start this program and as a partner exchange, when I was working with the men on the ground, I did get some pushbacks on that as well. But it was amazing throughout this program. Our trainer has changed by reading this program. This is a story he shares with us, that how he later on, after learning about this topics, and he supported her own family and her own sister, that she was going through some challenges in her life. So it's like this program is not only for students, it's also for our trainers, that how will impact them, and then they deliver the program to students. There are some pictures that they are doing the class activities. So our third program, we just resumed, Threads of Hope. This part of programs, we have a sewing and literacy programs. We had previously with other partners that we work with them with 6 months, and because of some security reason, and we ended with that partner. Now we are starting with the new partners that is going to start. It's already started. It's literacy program, and we recruited 40 students already. And again, we have program teaching them women empowerment and health workshop. And these students, these women, are uneducated. Their ages are above 20, 25, 20, 30. So these group of women, they never been to school, but they have a skills of like sewing classes. And we have a literacy program to help them to reading and writing in Farsi. And women empowerment will also be taught in Farsi, because we just started, and we when I had my first meeting with them, it's amazing that we start teaching them about the women's rights and then about health workshop. These women is like, I wish I knew this before, that I could support my daughters. And now I learned, especially they talk about menstruation hygienes, and one of the very taboo topic and sensitive topic among women. And now these women are learning, and they were like, now I can teach my daughters about this stuff. I didn't know about these things before. And when we talk about their rights as a woman, what rights they have, and how much this class sewing and literacy program help them to be independent, even with the limited education they have, but financially they will be independent and they will bring some income in their family. Because the sewing class is one thing in Afghanistan, it's not like in countries like here that you go do your shopping online or buy your dress outside ready. So in Afghanistan, a lot of clothes are made at home, and it's just another way of women in the business that they like to do. So that's why one of the things that women are in the sewing, and at the end of the project, we're giving them the machine. So and they can start their home businesses and sewing, and they can sell the dresses they make. So yeah, this is the program we just started, and we done our surveys. I can tell this is an amazing opportunity for women, and not only this is teaching them, but this is creating a space for them to come together and share their experience and learn from each other. Not only the skills they're learning, but they're learning like other skills that and they can teach other women about this. And this are some pictures that we have just from the start of the program. So this all of our programs is been a great opportunity for each individuals that comes to the program. And like I said, our program is not only a program that we are creating a leader on the ground, despite all the challenges that's happening in Afghanistan, but this 100 students, 40 students is just not a number. It's just that if it's a 200 students, this 200 students can create another 200 students. So this is a small circle that is getting bigger and bigger, and that's our goal for the future. And the upcoming changes, we are hiring someone on the ground that can observe our programs closely, and extension of our programs, that as we started from 6 months small projects to see how we will succeed in terms of the challenges. Now we see our partners are great and amazing. They're doing amazing jobs. So now we are thinking to extending our programs from 6 months to 1 year program, and making a full package of our programs from, for example, in computer and coding class, there are a lot of feedbacks we got our partners that they would like to add more programs in computer and Excel and other skills that they can learn, that they can work after when they graduate from this program.
How are they registering for these courses, and what's the teacher to student ratio for each one of the courses that are offered?
So it depends on program, Sarjan, because we are working with community-based organizations. They have already established their connections with different schools who still have access to their students beyond 6th grade. The database is still there. And we have, and these partners, some of them have worked in the education sector in the past as well. So they have connections where to recruit these students from. They get in touch with their own contacts, and we have a whole process of doing a pre-surveys and also an entry test for students to join the class. And as for the student teacher ratio, we try to keep our classes smaller. We do multiple timings. So let's say in one day we have 3 different coding classes, and the students in each class are from 10 to 15 individuals, and we have one teacher assigned to them for 2 hours. And the teachers who teach coding classes are different from the ones who teach the women empowerment and women's health workshops.
I see. Okay. And are these classes happening out in the open, or is it undercover and nobody knows? Yeah.
They're all underground, unfortunately, at this point. Our underground Tech Sheroes programs are totally home-based. We have 3 home-based centers where girls get together and continue these classes. But with our Stilt Sisters program, the school, because it's pretty secure and they have a very secure method to get students from their homes to schools, they get together in the school, but the officials, the de facto government officials, do not know about the classes that are happening in this program. Are there any other questions about the programs and how we do it? I know we get this question a lot, like how do you continue to work in these conditions? And one of the leverages that we have here is working with community organizations. All of these students are recruited from the same community. The teachers are from the same community, and the classes are conducted in homes or centers in the same community. So there's a lot of support for these programs because they know everybody involved in the program, and there's a lot of trust that's built with these organizations, their grassroots. So that makes it easier for us to continue working. It doesn't mean there are no challenges. Definitely there are safety challenges, but we do have safety plan for the students. Sometimes our home-based classes, they change locations every other month for a few days just to make sure that they're not grabbing so much attention. And those are some of the methods that we use. Sometimes we have to ask the girls to stay home for a day or two if we see any potential risks for it to calm down, and then we restart the classes in a day or two.
There's a question in the chat, Mitra. It says, what is the most pressing need right now?
For our programs in general, because we are expanding these programs, of course, we will need funding to sustain our programs. But on the ground, for what is the need for girls right now, most importantly, it is psychosocial intervention, because a lot of these girls are losing hope, and they, when we talk to them about mental health topics in classes, at least they see it as a safe space to come together and talk about depression or the emotions that they have. That's why we're really focusing on expanding our mental health curriculum to cover more topics. And we have started to recruit, our partners have started to recruit professionals in the mental health field to conduct these workshops. With our current program that we recently resumed in Kabul, the Threads of Hope, we have a psychosocial specialist who not only teaches the mental health curriculum that we have, but she also conducts weekly group counseling sessions for the girls where they unpack the material that they have studied and they get a chance to talk about the emotions and process them.
Just adding on that, what we need to do as like raising awareness, how it is important to women's education, as we're working hard to creating these programs, but at the same time, there are so many students are out of school. How it is important generally, if we raise awareness to Taliban had to open the school for girls, especially for university students that they're home, the first year, second year out of school, and how much it's impacting in countries' economy and social. It's huge. So it's definitely, if we individually raise awareness, is huge. That helps to put the pressure on the Taliban's government to open the school for girls.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I recently watched this interview where an activist in Afghanistan, she was speaking directly to one of the, top guys in the Taliban, and she said, you need to open schools for girls because we need education and it's really important. And his response was, we're working on it. But what's really important right now is that the girls don't fight back when we're telling them they shouldn't go. And what that said to me is, they're afraid of women standing up for their rights. So what we have to do is keep supporting them in standing up for their rights and keep giving them avenues to learn how to stand up for their rights. And so to me, the women's empowerment section of each one of these courses is extremely important. And in the Men and Partners in Change, the part where they learn to support the women in their lives, because how are you going to go out and protest if, you know, your husband, father, brother is trying to stop you, right? So you need that support from your community and your family. And that is one of the things that we're trying to give them. You can see updates about our programs. You can also sign up for our newsletter if you want to get monthly updates. We don't send them out too often, but we just send out newsletters once a month. And then whenever we're doing a campaign or we have like an event, we will send maybe a couple extra, but we try not to, you know, spam you crazy or anything. And some of you did ask how you can help. So there are, of course, a few different ways. You can volunteer with Sahar if you're interested in doing so. You can email me, Allie, at sahareducation.org. If you have questions, if you have skills that you want to put to use for us, or if you just want to see how you can help us, we always can use more volunteers. And you can also donate to the cause or share the cause with your community who can donate as well. And something to note about that is that through January 1st, all of our donations through Global Giving for Self Sisters and Underground Tech Heroes receives 50% matching. And so that's something that only 9 different programs on Global Giving are actually part of. That's the Safer World Fund, and we are part of it with those 2 programs. So if you donate $100, we receive $150. So that is huge for us, and it continues all the way through January 1st. So if you have a donation to give, if you do it through there, we'll get more. And that also will be compounded on November 28th. So they're going to be doing something called Move a Million with the Giving Tuesday. And basically what that means is every single donation on that date is going to receive additional matching funds. For those 2 programs, if you donate on Global Giving on November 28th, we will get matching from the Giving Tuesday and from the Safer World Foundation. So we'll actually get double matching. So we don't know the exact amounts because they're doing it based on percentages for the Giving Tuesday, but we'll get at least the $150 for every $100 plus some more. And so that will be, you know, hugely helpful for us to continue our programs and to continue making, you know, a difference in the lives of Afghan girls.